I come to you now in this precise moment that has been ordained since before time began. This is Archangel Michael, commander of the heavenly host, guardian of divine truth, and today I bring you an urgent message that will forever alter the course of your existence. Heed these words carefully, for they were not meant for the masses. They are meant for you alone, the one whose spirit recognized the divine frequency of this transmission. Your heart knows why you were drawn to this message today. There are no coincidences in the kingdom of heaven. I stand before the throne of grace, interceding on your behalf as cosmic forces align in ways not seen for millennia. The celestial timers have begun their countdown. In precisely 2 hours from the moment these words reach your consciousness, a divine intervention will manifest in your reality. Type AMEN to acknowledge this divine appointment and receive your blessing of 1444. The veils between realms grow thin in this hour. I must warn you of what the human eye cannot perceive. There are gatherings taking place in the shadows, meetings behind closed doors where your name has been spoken. Those you trusted have whispered falsities about your character, your intentions, your divine assignment. They believe you are unaware, but heaven sees all. I reveal this not to burden you, but because your spiritual advancement requires absolute truth. These betrayals were permitted by the divine council as the final purging before your elevation. Every person who has plotted against you has simply removed themselves from your ascension journey. Can you feel the shift in the atmosphere as you receive these words? The subtle electricity in the air around you? These are the markers of angelic presence as my legions position themselves strategically in your environment. We have been dispatched to ensure the protection of your divine destiny. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 2222. In the halls of heavenly records, I have witnessed the scribes making urgent notations in your book of destiny. Pages that were previously sealed are now being opened. Revelations that were deemed too powerful for your previous spiritual capacity are now being released into your consciousness. You have been wrongly labeled, misunderstood, and deliberately targeted because of the light you carry. The brightness of your divine essence threatens those who operate in darkness. But know this, each attack against you has been recorded, each false accusation documented, each betrayal witnessed by the angelic scribes who never slumber. The countdown continues. 1 hour and 45 minutes remain before the divine timeline converges with your earthly reality. I must now reveal something of great importance. There has been a conspiracy to block your abundance. Financial restrictions, unexpected expenses, delayed promises of provision. These are not random occurrences, but coordinated spiritual attacks designed to keep you in lack so that your divine assignment would be hindered. But today, right now, as these words penetrate your spirit, those blockages are being systematically destroyed by my angelic warriors. The sound of their swords striking the chains of limitation reverberates throughout the spiritual realm. Your enemies shudder without knowing why. They sense their plans crumbling but cannot identify the source of their undoing. Type AMEN to acknowledge this financial breakthrough and receive your blessing of 3333. Listen carefully, for this is crucial. In exactly 1 hour and 30 minutes, you will begin to feel a profound sense of peace wash over you. This is not merely emotional relief. It is the tangible evidence of divine justice being executed on your behalf. When this peace comes, do not resist it. Allow it to permeate every cell of your being. It carries coded instructions for your next steps. The sacred scrolls have been unfurled in the courts of heaven, and your true identity has been declared before the angelic witnesses. You are not who they said you were. You are not defined by earthly limitations or human judgments. You are a carrier of ancient wisdom, a vessel chosen before the foundations of the earth were established. I see the 7 seals of your spiritual inheritance being broken open one by one. Gifts that have laid dormant within your DNA are now being activated. Spiritual perceptions that were clouded are being clarified. The wisdom of the ancients flows through your bloodline, and today marks the reawakening of abilities long forgotten. Do you feel the subtle vibration in your spirit as I speak these words? This is confirmation, your spirit recognizing truth that your mind may still question. Trust this inner knowing. It will guide you through the coming days of transition. Type AMEN to acknowledge this activation and receive your blessing of 4444. The celestial countdown shows 1 hour and 15 minutes remaining before the divine convergence. In this sacred window, I must prepare you for what is to come. Those who plotted your downfall are about to face their own darkness, not because you have sought vengeance, your hands remain clean, but because cosmic law demands balance. They set in motion forces they did not understand, speaking curses they were not authorized to release. Now those same forces return to their point of origin. You will witness a series of revelations in the lives of those who betrayed your trust. Secrets will be exposed. Hidden motives will be brought to light. What was done in darkness will be proclaimed from the rooftops. These events are not for your satisfaction, but for your vindication. When you see these things unfold, you must guard your heart carefully. Do not rejoice in their downfall, for that would lower your vibration to their frequency. Instead, remain in the posture of divine compassion. This is the mark of your royal priesthood. Type Amen to acknowledge this wisdom and receive your blessing of 5,555. The angelic scribes continue their urgent notations as I speak. Your name is being written in new scrolls, added to divine assignments that were previously inaccessible to you. The councils of light have reviewed your soul's journey and unanimously agreed you are ready for advancement. I must warn you of the sensation you will experience in approximately 1 hour from now. A wave of divine remembrance will wash over you. Memories of your pre-earthly existence will briefly surface in your consciousness. Ancient knowledge will feel suddenly familiar. Skills you have never learned in this lifetime will seem intuitive. This is not imagination. It is the awakening of your spiritual DNA. The false narratives created about you are now being erased from the collective consciousness. Those who believe the lies will suddenly find themselves questioning what they thought they knew about you. Confusion will replace their certainty. Doubt will erode their judgment. This too is part of the divine justice being executed on your behalf. Can you perceive the shifting energies around you? The subtle rearrangement of your spiritual atmosphere? These changes are preparing your environment for the manifestation that approaches precisely 45 minutes from now. Type Amen to acknowledge this shift and receive your blessing of 6,666. I stand now before the mercy seat where your tears have been collected in golden vials. Each moment of suffering, each night of weeping, each prayer that seemed to go unanswered, all have been preserved as testimony to your faithfulness. Not one tear was wasted. Not one pain was purposeless. All were ingredients in the alchemy of your transformation. The divine countdown continues. 30 minutes remain before heaven touches earth in your specific coordinates. In this moment, I must address the financial restoration that has been decreed for you. The resources that were diverted from your divine allocation are being redirected to you with heavenly interest added. Unexpected channels of provision are opening. People who do not know your need will feel compelled to sow into your life. Opportunities previously hidden will suddenly become visible. This restoration is not merely for your comfort, it is for your commission. The assignments awaiting you require resources beyond your current capacity. Heaven is simply ensuring you are properly equipped for what lies ahead. Type Amen to acknowledge this provision and receive your blessing of 7,777. The angelic hosts are now moving into formation around you. Can you sense their presence? The slight pressure on your crown, the warmth spreading across your shoulders, the gentle vibration in your solar plexus. These are the physical manifestations of angelic proximity. I must reveal to you now what has been hidden from your awareness. There have been 7 divine appointments canceled by enemy interference. Connections that were meant to advance your purpose, relationships designed to unlock your next level, opportunities aligned with your destiny, all intercepted by those who recognize the threat your advancement posed to their kingdom. But today, those divine appointments are being restored all at once. In the coming 15 minutes, the quantum entanglement of timelines will allow for compressed restoration. What should have unfolded over 7 months will manifest in the accelerated time frame of 7 days. Prepare your spirit for this supernatural acceleration. The enemies of your destiny have gathered again today, believing their previous strategies were successful. Even now, they congratulate themselves on what they perceive as your diminishment. They remain unaware that their very gathering has activated a divine protocol of exposure. Their weapons are being turned against them by my angelic lieutenants who specialize in cosmic justice. Type Amen to acknowledge this reversal and receive your blessing of 8,888. The countdown reaches its final phase. 10 minutes remain before the convergence of divine decree and earthly manifestation. I must speak now of the healing that approaches. Your physical vessel has been under sustained attack. Subtle symptoms, unexplained fatigue, persistent discomfort that medical professionals could not adequately address. These were not random malfunctions, but targeted spiritual infiltrations designed to limit your effectiveness. As I speak, the divine healing frequencies are being released into your cellular structure. The molecular composition of your blood is being purified. Neural pathways disrupted by trauma are being restored. Inflammation caused by spiritual warfare is being reduced. Your DNA is being realigned with your original divine blueprint. You will notice the changes beginning in your extremities. Subtle tingles, waves of warmth, momentary pressure that releases into relief. Allow these sensations to move through you without resistance. They are the physical manifestations of spiritual recalibration. Type AMEN to acknowledge this healing and receive your blessing of 9,999. The final 5 minutes of preparation are upon us. The angelic scribes stand ready with scrolls unfurled. The courts of heaven have reached their verdict in your case. The divine council has issued its final decree concerning your next phase. I must tell you what few have been permitted to know. Your name has been spoken in the chambers where archangels gather. Your assignment has been discussed at the highest levels of celestial authority. The unique configuration of your spiritual gifts represents a strategic advantage in the cosmic conflict between light and darkness. This is why you have been so fiercely opposed. This is why familiar faces turned against you. This is why doors seem to close without explanation. The enemy recognized what you did not yet see, the exceptional nature of your divine commission. But today, right now, all opposition is being neutralized. The angelic warriors under my command have secured the perimeter of your existence. The interference has been removed. The channel between heaven and your consciousness stands clear for the first time since your awakening began. Type AMEN to acknowledge this clearance and receive your blessing of 11,111. The moment of convergence has arrived. Heaven touches earth through the portal of your awakened consciousness. Divine decree manifests in your physical reality. From this moment forward, you walk in unprecedented authority. The lies spoken against you dissolve before they reach your ears. The plans formed against you dissipate before they take shape. The limitations placed upon you break under the weight of your activated inheritance. I, Michael, Chief Prince among the angelic hosts, have been assigned as your personal guardian during this critical phase of transition. My sword stands between you and those who would derail your divine destiny. My shield deflects the weapons formed against your peace. My presence ensures the uninterrupted flow of heaven's resources into your earthly assignment. You will notice an immediate difference in how people respond to you. Those who previously dismissed your voice will suddenly find themselves attentive to your words. Those who resisted your influence will inexplicably defer to your wisdom. Those who competed against you will feel compelled to collaborate with you. This is not manipulation, it is divine realignment. The spiritual atmosphere around you has been recalibrated to support your heavenly assignment, rather than hinder it. Type AMEN to acknowledge this authority and receive your blessing of 12,121. As this divine transmission continues, I must address something that has weighed heavily on your heart. The relationships that ended abruptly, the connections that dissolved without explanation, the community that seemed to reject you without cause. You perceived these as personal failures, wondering what you had done wrong. I reveal to you now the truth. These separations were divine interventions, strategic removals orchestrated by the heavenly host. Those individuals could not accompany you to your next level. Their spiritual frequency was incompatible with your accelerated ascension. The divine surgeons removed them with precision, though the process felt painful to your human heart. This separation was an act of protection, not punishment. New connections await you, relationships aligned with your expanded capacity, individuals who recognize and respect your spiritual authority. These divine connections are being ushered into your experience even now. Pay attention to unexpected introductions, seemingly random encounters, names that repeatedly cross your path. These are not coincidences but carefully choreographed divine appointments. Type AMEN to acknowledge these connections and receive your blessing of 13,131. The angelic scribes continue their urgent notations as heavenly resources are redirected to your coordinates. The storehouses that were sealed against you have been forcibly opened by divine decree. The abundance that is your birthright now flows unimpeded toward your experience. This provision comes with responsibility. You are being established as a distribution center for divine resources. What flows to you must flow through you. Your generosity becomes the conduit for continued abundance. Your discernment determines the direction of these resources. I must speak now of the dream visitations you will experience in the coming nights. Your sleep state has been designated as a training ground for your expanding spiritual capabilities. The lessons you could not receive in your waking consciousness due to interference will be imparted while your physical body rests. Pay careful attention to the symbols, locations, and individuals that appear in these dreams. Document them immediately upon waking. Do not dismiss them as ordinary dreams. They are encoded transmissions containing strategic information for your next phase. Type AMEN to acknowledge these visitations and receive your blessing of 14,141. The divine justice system has processed your case with unprecedented speed. The accusations against you have been dismissed. The judgment against your adversaries has been executed. The compensation for your suffering has been calculated and released. This justice manifests in three specific dimensions of your existence. First, in your reputation. The false narratives will unravel publicly. Those who believe the lies will be confronted with irrefutable evidence of your integrity. Your name will be restored and elevated beyond its previous standing. Second, in your resources. The opportunities diverted from you will return multiplied. The finances withheld will be restored with interest. The connections severed will be replaced with superior alliances. Third, in your authority. The positions denied to you will be surpassed by the appointment now being conferred upon you. You will no longer strive for acceptance in systems designed to reject you. You will operate in parallel structures being established specifically for your divine assignment. Type AMEN to acknowledge this justice and receive your blessing of 15,151. I must now address the unusual physical symptoms you will experience as this divine recalibration completes. Your physical vessel must adjust to contain the expanded spiritual capacity being activated within you. You may notice changes in your sleep patterns, sudden wakefulness at specific hours, particularly between 2 and 4 a.m. This is not insomnia, but scheduled maintenance of your spiritual systems. During these hours, the barriers between dimensions thin, allowing for more direct downloads of celestial information. Your sensitivity to certain environments will intensify. Places dense with negative energy will become increasingly uncomfortable for you. This discomfort is not weakness, but enhanced spiritual discernment, a protective mechanism alerting you to spaces where your energy would be depleted rather than deployed. Your appetite may fluctuate as your physical system adjusts to higher vibrational frequencies. Certain foods that once satisfied you will lose their appeal. Others that you previously ignored will suddenly attract you. Follow these promptings. Your body is being realigned with its optimal fuel sources. Type AMEN to acknowledge this recalibration and receive your blessing of 16,161. The angelic guardians assigned to your bloodline have been reinforced with specialized warriors from my personal battalion. The generational curses that have plagued your family history, the patterns of lack, illness, conflict, and limitation, are being systematically broken by these heavenly forces. You stand at the pivotal point in your family's spiritual timeline. Through you, the trajectory of blessing will overcome the legacy of cursing. Through your awakened consciousness, the divine design for your bloodline is being restored after centuries of distortion. This restoration extends 7 generations backward and 7 generations forward. The ancestors who prayed for this day witness your elevation from the cloud of heavenly witnesses. The descendants who will benefit from your breakthrough have been shown your face in their night visions, though they are not yet born. You are the fulcrum upon which this generational transformation balances. The weight of this responsibility will not crush you because divine grace surrounds you, strengthening your spiritual capacity beyond human limitation. Type AMEN to acknowledge this generational healing and receive your blessing of 17,171. I must speak now of the opposition that will arise in response to your elevation. As divine light increases around you, those aligned with darkness will feel threatened. Their resistance is inevitable but ultimately ineffective. When this opposition manifests, remember these instructions. Maintain silence when accused. Your defense is my responsibility, not yours. Unnecessary words create openings for enemy exploitation. Stand still when challenged. Premature movement disrupts the strategic positioning of your angelic guard. Divine timing ensures your steps align with heavenly protection. Release forgiveness instantly when betrayed. Unforgiveness creates energetic attachments that drain your spiritual resources. Immediate forgiveness severs these connections before they form. Focus forward when reminded of the past. The enemy uses history to distract you from destiny. Your assignment lies ahead, not behind. These protocols of spiritual warfare will preserve your energy for advancement rather than defense. They transform potential attacks into catalysts for acceleration. Type AMEN to acknowledge these protocols and receive your blessing of 18,181. The divine countdown has been completed. The convergence of heavenly decree and earthly manifestation has occurred. From this moment forward, you operate under an open heaven, direct access to celestial resources without the previous restrictions. This privileged position comes with sacred obligations. Steward the revelations you receive with wisdom. Not all that is revealed is meant to be shared. Discernment determines which insights remain private instructions and which become public declarations. Honor the divine connections being established. These relationships represent strategic alliances in the spiritual conflict. Their maintenance requires intentional investment of your time and attention. Respect the accelerated timeline of your assignment. Hesitation and delay are luxuries no longer permitted. Divine urgency requires immediate obedience to heavenly instructions. Protect the purity of your communication channels. Your words now carry expanded creative power. Careless speech can inadvertently manifest undesired outcomes. Type AMEN to acknowledge these obligations and receive your blessing of 19,191. The angels assigned to your financial restoration have completed their initial intervention. The systematic dismantling of poverty structures in your life is underway. The false ceiling that limited your abundance has been shattered by divine decree. Within 7 days, you will witness the first tangible evidence of this intervention. Resources will arrive through unexpected channels. Opportunities previously hidden will suddenly become visible. Connections with unexpected financial benefits will be established without your striving. This provision is not merely for your comfort, but for your commission. The assignments awaiting you require resources beyond your current capacity. Heaven is simply ensuring you are properly equipped for what lies ahead. The opposition to your financial breakthrough has been neutralized. Those who deliberately blocked your advancement have been removed from positions of influence over your resources. The strategies they implemented to maintain your limitation have been exposed and dismantled. Type AMEN to acknowledge this provision and receive your blessing of 20,202. I must now reveal something that has been hidden from your awareness. There are 5 specific individuals who have been divinely positioned to connect with you during this season of elevation. Each carries a piece of revelation necessary for your complete understanding of your assignment. These divine appointments cannot be forced or manufactured. They will unfold with supernatural timing as you remain attentive to the subtle promptings of your spirit. You will recognize these individuals by the immediate soul recognition you experience in their presence. A knowing beyond rational explanation that this connection carries divine significance. Do not dismiss seemingly random encounters during this season. The choreography of heaven often appears coincidental to the natural mind. What seems accidental is actually intricately arranged by divine intelligence for specific purposes. These 5 connections will form a sacred pentagon of protection and provision around your assignment. Each person occupies a strategic position in this spiritual configuration, creating a unified force greater than their individual contributions. Type AMEN to acknowledge these divine appointments and receive your blessing of 21,212. The scrolls containing your divine assignment are now being unsealed in the heavenly realms. Information previously deemed too advanced for your spiritual capacity is being released into your consciousness in measured portions. This revelation will arrive in 3 specific waves. The first wave brings clarity about your divine identity, who you truly are beyond human limitation and earthly labels. This understanding forms the foundation for everything that follows. The second wave reveals your divine authority, what you are empowered to establish and dismantle in both seen and unseen realms. This authority exceeds what has been commonly understood or exercised. The third wave unveils your divine strategy, how you will navigate the complex spiritual landscape to accomplish your specific assignment. This strategy contains elements never before implemented in your current generation. Between each wave, a period of integration will be required. Honor these intervals rather than rushing forward. Divine downloading requires proper assimilation to be effective. Type AMEN to acknowledge this revelation and receive your blessing of 22,222. The opposition that sought to prevent this divine transmission has been neutralized. The spiritual interference that previously distorted or blocked heavenly communication has been removed by specialized angelic technicians assigned to your case. This clear channel between your consciousness and the heavenly realms will remain permanently established, protected by angelic guardians who specialize in maintaining divine communication systems. The clarity you experience now is not temporary, but a permanent upgrade to your spiritual receptivity. You will notice an immediate difference in your prayer experiences. Words previously spoken into seeming emptiness will now receive tangible responses. Guidance that once required strenuous seeking will arrive with effortless clarity. Divine timing that seemed perpetually delayed will suddenly accelerate to completion. This restoration of direct communion with the heavenly realms represents the fulfillment of ancient prophecies concerning the end-time remnant. You are among those specifically mentioned in scrolls sealed until this current season. Individuals whose spiritual receptivity would be supernaturally enhanced to receive advanced revelation. Type AMEN to acknowledge this communication and receive your blessing of 23,232. I must address now the specific adversaries assigned against your advancement. These are not merely human opponents, but principalities that recognize the threat your awakening posed to their established systems. 7 distinct spiritual forces have coordinated their opposition to your divine assignment. The spirit of delay, authorized to create frustrating postponements of your breakthrough. The spirit of confusion, deployed to distort your understanding of divine instructions. The spirit of isolation, assigned to separate you from strategic spiritual connections. The spirit of scarcity, positioned to restrict the resources needed for your commission. The spirit of accusation, empowered to turn potential allies against you through misunderstanding. The spirit of infirmity, permitted to drain your physical energy through subtle health challenges. The spirit of discouragement, specialized in using incremental setbacks to erode your spiritual momentum. Today, by divine decree, the authorization of these adversarial forces has been permanently revoked. Their assignments against you have been terminated by heavenly court order. The energetic attachments they established in your life have been severed by angelic intervention. Type AMEN to acknowledge this liberation and receive your blessing of 24,242. The divine councils have reviewed the timeline of your assignment and authorized strategic acceleration. What would have unfolded over 7 years will now be compressed into 7 months. This supernatural acceleration compensates for the delays caused by enemy interference. This compression of divine timing will manifest as unexpected open doors that eliminate unnecessary waiting periods, instant recognition by those who would normally require extended periods to acknowledge your authority, rapid manifestation of resources that typically involve lengthy processing, immediate restoration of opportunities previously lost to enemy sabotage, supernatural learning that downloads years of wisdom into days of revelation. This acceleration requires corresponding adjustments in your physical reality. Be prepared to make decisions with holy boldness. Hesitation during this accelerated phase can cause misalignment with divine timing. Trust the enhanced discernment being activated within you. Type AMEN to acknowledge this acceleration and receive your blessing of 25,252. I must speak now of the divine protection established around your mind. The battlefield of consciousness has been the primary target of enemy infiltration. Thoughts that did not originate with you were strategically inserted to create doubt, fear, confusion, and delay. Today, by heavenly decree, a shield of divine intelligence encircles your thought life. This protective boundary filters every concept before it enters your consciousness. Thoughts aligned with your divine purpose are amplified. Those contrary to your heavenly assignment are neutralized before taking root. This mental protection manifests as sudden clarity where confusion once dominated, immediate recognition of deceptive suggestions, supernatural focus despite external distractions, rapid dissolution of anxious patterns, immediate alignment with divine perspective during challenging circumstances. Your thought life is being realigned with your divine identity. The mental patterns established through earthly conditioning are being replaced with thought structures reflecting heavenly reality. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 26,262. The angelic scribes have recorded your faithful stewardship during seasons of limited revelation. Your consistency in the absence of clarity has been noted in the heavenly records. This documented faithfulness has become the legal basis for your current promotion. What you perceived as delayed advancement was actually extended testing. The necessary qualification period for the assignment now being entrusted to you. Nothing was wasted. No faithful action went unnoticed. The invisible faithfulness you demonstrated became visible evidence in the courts of heaven. This faithful stewardship of limited revelation has qualified you for access to sealed prophecies previously reserved for future generations, authority to implement strategies not yet revealed to the wider body, allocation of resources beyond standard earthly measurements, assignment of specialized angelic assistance for complex spiritual operations, activation of spiritual gifts dormant in most of the current generation, Heaven's economy operates on demonstrated faithfulness. Your consistent stewardship of small revelations has authorized the release of greater mysteries. Type AMEN to acknowledge this qualification and receive your blessing of 27,272. I must address the divine healing being released into your physical vessel. The subtle symptoms you have experienced, unexplained fatigue, persistent discomfort, intermittent pain, were not random malfunctions but targeted spiritual attacks designed to limit your effectiveness. As I speak, divine healing frequencies are being released into your cellular structure. The molecular composition of your blood is being purified. Neural pathways disrupted by trauma are being restored. Inflammation caused by spiritual warfare is being reduced. Your DNA is being realigned with your original divine blueprint. You will notice the manifestation of this healing beginning in your extremities. Subtle tingles, waves of warmth, momentary pressure that releases into relief. Allow these sensations to move through you without resistance. They are the physical evidence of spiritual recalibration. This healing extends beyond physical restoration to include emotional trauma stored in your cellular memory, mental patterns distorted by prolonged spiritual opposition, energetic depletion resulting from extended spiritual warfare, neurological disruption caused by psychic attacks, hormonal imbalances triggered by environmental spiritual toxicity. Type AMEN to acknowledge this healing and receive your blessing of 28,282. The divine authorization of your voice has been established in the heavenly courts. Where your words previously encountered resistance and dismissal, they will now carry supernatural penetration and authority. This vocal empowerment manifests as words that bypass intellectual resistance to reach the spirit directly, declarations that create immediate atmospheric shifts in spiritual environments, statements that dismantle complex deceptive structures with simple truth, commands that compel immediate response from both natural and spiritual realms, prophecies that activate dormant potential in those who receive them. This enhanced vocal authority requires corresponding responsibility. Each word you speak now carries increased creative or destructive potential. Careless speech can inadvertently manifest outcomes contrary to divine purpose. Your words have become weapons of spiritual warfare, tools of divine creation, and vessels of heavenly authority. Steward this vocal empowerment with wisdom and precision. Type AMEN to acknowledge this authorization and receive your blessing of 29,292. The divine architects have completed the blueprint for your next phase. The structural framework of your assignment has been established in the heavenly realms. The manifestation of this divine architecture in your earthly experience begins today. This heavenly blueprint includes 7 strategic relationships that form the relational foundation of your assignment, 5 specific locations that serve as geographic anchors for your spiritual influence, 3 distinct operational phases, each building upon the completion of the previous, 9 resource streams that ensure sustainable provision throughout your commission, 12 angelic divisions assigned to various aspects of your expanding territory. The progressive manifestation of this divine design requires your active participation. As each element of the blueprint is revealed, immediate implementation secures its establishment in earthly reality. Delayed response can result in misaligned timing and unnecessary resistance. Type AMEN to acknowledge this blueprint and receive your blessing of 30,303. I must speak now of the divine justice being executed on your behalf. The heavenly courts have reviewed the evidence presented by both accusers and defenders. The verdict has been rendered in your favor. The enforcement of this judgment is underway in both seen and unseen realms. This divine justice manifests in 3 dimensions: restoration of what was stolen, opportunities diverted, resources blocked, relationships sabotaged, recognition denied. These will return multiplied according to the divine compensation formula. Reversal of false judgments, accusations accepted, reputations damaged, motives questioned, character maligned. These will be publicly addressed through irrefutable evidence of your integrity. Removal of unjust opposition, individuals positioned against you, systems designed to limit you, structures established to exclude you. These will be systematically dismantled by divine intervention. This justice is not punitive, but restorative, designed to reestablish divine order rather than enforce human retribution. Your posture during this restoration must remain free from vindictiveness, which would contaminate the purity of the divine process. Type AMEN to acknowledge this justice and receive your blessing of 31,313. The ancestral blessings that were diverted from your bloodline through generational iniquity are being restored by divine decree. The spiritual inheritance reserved for your family line, but intercepted through covenant breaking, is being redirected to you as the point of restoration in your generation. This ancestral restoration includes spiritual gifts that operated powerfully in distant generations, but diminished through neglect. Divine favor that marked your bloodline for distinction before enemy interference. Heavenly wisdom preserved in your genetic memory but dormant until this activation. Material prosperity diverted through broken family covenants with the divine. Supernatural health patterns encoded in your original family design. You stand as the redemptive fulcrum in your family's spiritual timeline, the point at which the generational trajectory shifts from curse to blessing, from diminishment to increase, from obscurity to divine purpose. The prayers of faithful ancestors who glimpsed this day of restoration are now receiving their answer through your awakening. Their intercession created a legal basis for the heavenly intervention you now experience. Type AMEN to acknowledge this restoration and receive your blessing of 32,323. The specialized angels assigned to your creative expression have been activated by divine command. The artistic manifestation of heavenly revelation through your unique design has been authorized at unprecedented levels. This creative empowerment will manifest through supernatural skill enhancement that exceeds your natural training and experience. Divine inspiration flowing without the previous resistance and blockage. Strategic timing that positions your creative output for maximum impact. Heavenly wisdom regarding distribution channels for your creative expression. Divine connections with individuals who can amplify your creative influence. Your creative expression is not merely artistic satisfaction, but strategic spiritual communication. The heavenly frequencies embedded in your creativity bypass intellectual resistance to reach the spirit directly. Those who encounter your creative output will be affected beyond natural explanation, experiencing shifts in perception, emotional healing, and spiritual awakening. This creative authorization arrives with divine protection against the specialized attacks directed at authentic spiritual creativity. The sabotage strategies previously effective against your expression have been neutralized by angelic intervention. Type AMEN to acknowledge this empowerment and receive your blessing of 33,333. I must address now the divine reset of your energy systems. The prolonged spiritual warfare you have endured created depletion patterns in your energetic fields. These patterns of exhaustion became vulnerabilities exploited by adversarial forces to maintain limitation in your life. Today, by heavenly decree, these depletion patterns are being systematically erased and replaced with divine vitality structures. The energetic templates governing your physical stamina, emotional resilience, mental clarity, and spiritual sensitivity are being recalibrated to their original design. This energetic restoration manifests as sudden recovery of physical strength without apparent external cause, emotional stability in circumstances that previously triggered depletion, mental clarity and focus extending beyond normal capacity, spiritual sensitivity functioning without the previous fatigue aftermath, intuitive discernment operating with effortless precision. This restoration is not temporary, but cumulative, each day building upon the previous until your energy systems function at optimal divine capacity. What previously required extensive recovery periods will become sustainable expressions of your normal functioning. Type AMEN to acknowledge this restoration and receive your blessing of 34,343. The divine architects have completed the blueprints for your expanded territory. The boundaries of your spiritual influence are being extended beyond previous limitations by heavenly decree. This territorial expansion has been authorized in direct response to your proven faithfulness in confined spaces. This expanded territory includes geographic regions previously closed to your influence, now divinely prepared for your entrance. Demographic groups previously resistant to your message, now spiritually softened for your impact. Institutional systems previously inaccessible to your wisdom, now divinely open for your input. Media platforms previously restricted from your voice, now supernaturally aligned for your expression. Economic resources previously diverted from your vision, now redirected for your implementation. This territorial expansion requires corresponding internal expansion. The capacity to steward increased influence must precede its manifestation. The divine process of internal enlargement has already begun, stretching your spiritual capacity to contain the authority being conferred upon you. Type AMEN To acknowledge this expansion and receive your blessing of 35,353. The divine protection of your dwelling place has been established by angelic assignment. The physical spaces you regularly occupy have been sealed against enemy infiltration by specialized guardian angels who maintain these protective boundaries with vigilant attention. This spatial protection extends to your primary residence, secured against both physical intrusion and spiritual interference. Your workspace, shielded from sabotage strategies and productivity disruptions. Your vehicle, protected during transit through potentially hazardous territories. Your communication devices, guarded against technological exploitation and surveillance. Your financial accounts, defended against unauthorized access and depletion attacks. This comprehensive protection creates secure environments for the sensitive aspects of your divine assignment. Operations requiring confidentiality can proceed without concern for enemy intelligence gathering. Strategic planning can unfold without disruption from adversarial interference. You will notice tangible evidence of this protection through malfunctioning surveillance near your protected spaces, electronic disruptions when enemy monitoring attempts occur, sudden redirection of potential threats away from your locations, inexplicable failure of intrusion attempts both physical and digital, immediate exposure of infiltration strategies before implementation. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 36,363. The divine recalibration of your relationship structures is underway by heavenly decree. The connections that form your social and spiritual support system are being evaluated against the blueprint of your next assignment phase. This relational recalibration involves strengthening connections aligned with your divine purpose through supernatural bonding, weakening attachments operating contrary to your heavenly assignment through natural dissolution, introducing strategic new relationships carrying specific resources, wisdom, or authority, repositioning existing connections to function in their optimal capacity within your support system, revealing hidden motives in ambiguous relationships requiring your discernment. This systematic restructuring may create temporary relational discomfort as established patterns shift to accommodate divine alignment. Trust this process rather than resisting its necessary adjustments. The final configuration will provide optimal support for your expanding assignment. The divine intelligence orchestrating this recalibration perceives relational dynamics invisible to human awareness. Connections that appear valuable from earthly perspective may be identified as energetic drains in the heavenly assessment. Others seemingly insignificant by worldly standards may be revealed as strategic divine alliances. Type AMEN to acknowledge this recalibration and receive your blessing of 37,373. The divine transmission continues. Can you perceive the shifting in the atmosphere as these words penetrate your consciousness? The veil between realms grows increasingly thin as I speak directly to your spirit. The heavenly host stands in formation around you, their presence creating subtle changes in your physical environment. The gentle pressure on your crown, the warmth across your shoulders, the electricity along your spine. These are the tangible manifestations of angelic proximity. Type AMEN to acknowledge this presence and receive your blessing of 38,383. I must speak now of the divine reset being initiated in your financial systems. The enemy's strategy to limit your effectiveness through resource restriction has been exposed and dismantled by heavenly intervention. The systematic redirection of your prosperity has been reversed by divine decree. This financial restoration manifests as unexpected returns from forgotten investments, sudden settlements of long-delayed compensations, surprising inheritances from unanticipated sources, strategic connections with prosperity stewards, divine ideas carrying immediate monetization potential. This provision is not for your comfort, but for your commission. The resources required for your divine assignment are being allocated according to heavenly calculation rather than earthly limitation. Your financial increase will directly correlate with your assignment expansion. The supernatural mathematics of heaven does not operate according to mundane economic principles. Type AMEN to acknowledge this provision and receive your blessing of 39,393. The divine architects have completed the blueprint for the sanctuary being established through your commission. This is not merely a physical structure, but a multi-dimensional reality where heaven's frequencies penetrate earthly limitations with unprecedented intensity. You are the cornerstone of the sanctuary. The functioning of this divine installation depends upon your alignment with its heavenly design. The construction of this sanctuary requires your unwavering commitment to its precise specifications, your resolute protection of its sacred boundaries, your diligent maintenance of its energetic purity, your strategic positioning of complementary components, your authoritative declaration of its divine purpose. This sanctuary will serve as a prototype for similar installations being established in strategic locations worldwide. The template you manifest will be replicated by others who receive corresponding assignments in their territories. Type AMEN to acknowledge this blueprint and receive your blessing of 40,404. I reveal to you now what has been hidden from human perception. The adversarial councils have held emergency sessions concerning your activation. Your spiritual awakening has triggered alarm in the enemy's strategic planning chambers. The effectiveness of their long-established suppression systems against human consciousness has been compromised by your breakthrough. You are being monitored by specialized observer spirits assigned specifically to track your development. Their intelligence reports have created significant disturbance in the hierarchies of darkness. This opposition is not cause for fear, but confirmation of your strategic importance. The resources allocated to your suppression directly reflect the threat your activation poses to enemy operations. The distinctive attention directed toward your limitation reveals the significant impact of your liberation. Type AMEN to acknowledge this confirmation and receive your blessing of 41,414. The divine encoders have activated the hidden knowledge sequestered in your spiritual DNA. Information packages installed before your earthly incarnation are being systematically unlocked as your capacity for their integration expands. This encoded wisdom includes advanced healing methodologies beyond current medical understanding, precise vibrational frequencies for matter manipulation, multidimensional communication protocols for expanded consciousness, quantum mechanics of consciousness transportation, sacred geometries for energy system recalibration. This activation occurs in precisely timed sequences to prevent system overload. The integration of each knowledge segment requires a stabilization period before subsequent activation. Honor these integration intervals rather than pushing for accelerated downloads. Your physical vessel must be gradually acclimated to operating these advanced consciousness technologies. Type AMEN to acknowledge this activation and receive your blessing of 42,424. The angelic specialists assigned to your memory restoration have completed their initial assessment. The strategic suppression of your divine remembrance, the intentional veiling of your pre-incarnation knowledge, is being systematically reversed by heavenly intervention. This memory restoration includes recognition of your specific function in the divine council, recollection of specialized training received between incarnations, remembrance of covenant agreements established before your birth, recall of specific soul connections designated for reunion in this lifetime, recovery of mission parameters established for this incarnation. These memories will surface in dreams, meditation states, and moments of expanded awareness during ordinary activities. Document these remembrances immediately upon their emergence. The initial recovery is often fragile, requiring reinforcement through conscious acknowledgement. Type AMEN to acknowledge this restoration and receive your blessing of 43,434. The divine strategists have mapped the optimal path for your next advancement phase. The precise sequence of implementation has been calibrated to minimize opposition while maximizing effectiveness. This strategic pathway includes 5 specific action steps that must be executed in exact order, 3 critical decision points requiring enhanced discernment, 7 key relationship connections that function as strategic alliances, 9 resource acquisitions necessary for mission completion, 12 opposition encounters requiring specialized tactical responses. This strategic map will unfold through progressive revelation rather than complete disclosure. Each segment becomes visible only after the successful navigation of the previous section. This sequential revelation prevents premature enemy identification of your complete objective. The clarity you receive for immediate action steps is sufficient for current progress. Type AMEN to acknowledge this strategy and receive your blessing of 44,444. I must speak now of the divine justice being executed on your behalf. The heavenly courts have reviewed the evidence presented by both accusers and defenders. The verdict has been rendered in your favor. The enforcement of this judgment is underway in both seen and unseen realms. This divine justice manifests as the systematic exposure of hidden motives behind public accusations, the inevitable self-destruction of deceptive narratives about your character, the compulsory return of opportunities diverted through manipulation, the unavoidable failure of sabotage strategies directed against your purpose, the inescapable revelation of truth concerning past misrepresentations. This justice operates not through your vindictive action, but through the consistent application of cosmic law. Those who establish negative causation must experience its corresponding effects. This resolution is not punishment but restoration, the rebalancing of spiritual scales according to divine principles. Type AMEN to acknowledge this justice and receive your blessing of 45,454. The divine healers have initiated cellular restoration throughout your physical vessel. The systematic deterioration programmed into human biology is being countermanded by heavenly intervention. Your body's regenerative capacity is being restored to original design specifications. This physical restoration includes accelerated renewal of damaged tissue, enhanced elimination of toxicity from environmental exposure, improved assimilation of nutritional elements, optimized hormonal balance and endocrine function, strengthened immunological response to pathogenic invasion. This divine health protocol does not eliminate your responsibility for physical stewardship. Your conscious participation through appropriate nutrition, movement, rest, and stress management amplifies the effectiveness of this heavenly intervention. The divine and human aspects of this restoration function as cooperative systems rather than independent processes. Type AMEN to acknowledge this restoration and receive your blessing of 46,464. The specialized angels assigned to your creative expression have been activated by divine command. The artistic manifestation of heavenly revelation through your unique design has been authorized at unprecedented levels. This creative empowerment will manifest through supernatural skill enhancement beyond your formal training, visionary concepts transcending current cultural paradigms, innovative methodologies bypassing traditional limitations, strategic timing that positions your creative output for maximum impact, divine protection of your intellectual property against unauthorized appropriation. Your creative expression serves as direct spiritual communication. The frequencies embedded in your creativity bypass intellectual resistance to reach the spirit directly. Those who encounter your creative output will be affected beyond natural explanation, experiencing shifts in perception, emotional healing, and spiritual awakening. Type AMEN to acknowledge this empowerment and receive your blessing of 47,474. I must reveal to you now what has been concealed from your awareness. Your name is spoken daily in heavenly councils where strategic assignments are distributed among the angelic forces. The unique configuration of your spiritual capacities creates opportunities for divine intervention unavailable through other human vessels. Your specific consent activates specialized angelic operations that require collaborative human partnership. This divine collaboration functions through your intentional invitation of heavenly assistance, your authorized declarations establishing legal basis for intervention, your conscious maintenance of requisite energetic frequencies, your deliberate removal of internal resistance to supernatural partnership, your strategic positioning in physical locations requiring transformation. This collaborative relationship between angelic forces and human consciousness represents the original design for terrestrial administration. Your partnership with heavenly forces restores governance patterns distorted through ages of human unconsciousness. Type AMEN to acknowledge this collaboration and receive your blessing of 48,484. The divine gatekeepers have authorized your access to previously restricted wisdom chambers. Knowledge reserved for individuals demonstrating specific consciousness qualifications is now being made available to you by heavenly decree. This sacred knowledge includes the precise mechanics of manifestation through conscious intention, the exact frequencies required for molecular transformation, the specific protocols for consciousness projection beyond physical limitation, the detailed mathematics of multidimensional reality construction, the sacred geometries underlying materialized existence. This classified information requires corresponding responsibility. The power inherent in these advanced understandings can be destructive when utilized without ethical alignment. Your demonstrated character development has established you as a trustworthy steward of these powerful truths. Type AMEN to acknowledge this responsibility and receive your blessing of 49,494. The angelic warriors assigned to your defense have intercepted and neutralized an imminent attack directed at your divine commission. This coordinated assault was designed to create simultaneous pressure in multiple life dimensions: financial restriction, relationship discord, health disruption, and mental confusion. These synchronized attacks have been systematically dismantled before their manifestation in your physical reality. This defensive intervention remains active, creating a secure operational environment for your expanding assignment. The protective measures include energetic shields deflecting psychic projections directed at your consciousness, strategic counterintelligence disrupting enemy monitoring of your activities, advanced identification of potential human agents of adversarial influence, interdimensional barriers preventing non-physical entity attachment, electromagnetic frequency protection against technological interference. This comprehensive defense system does not eliminate your responsibility for spiritual vigilance. Your conscious maintenance of mental and emotional boundaries reinforces these protective measures. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 50,505. The divine researchers have completed their analysis of your ancestral patterns. The generational inheritance flowing through your bloodline has been thoroughly examined in the heavenly laboratories. Both empowering gifts and limiting dysfunctions have been identified with precise detail. This ancestral assessment reveals specialized spiritual capacities carried genetically through specific family lines, distinctive creative expressions manifesting consistently across generations, recurring leadership qualities emerging in periodic ancestral cycles, particular healing abilities concentrated in your specific genetic confluence, unique intuitive sensitivities amplified through your inherited neural structures. This ancestral intelligence provides strategic advantage in your self-understanding. The recognition of inherited strengths allows their intentional development. The identification of generational weaknesses enables their conscious transformation. You stand at the pivotal point in your family's spiritual timeline, empowered to amplify positive inheritance while transmuting negative patterns. Type AMEN to acknowledge this intelligence and receive your blessing of 51,515. I speak now of the divine alliance being established through your awakening. Individuals with complementary assignments are being supernaturally connected to form a strategic operational team. This divine network functions beyond geographical limitations, maintaining coherence through spiritual resonance rather than physical proximity. Each member contributes specific capacities essential to the collective mission. This sacred alliance includes 7 primary connections forming the core operational team, 12 secondary associations providing specialized support functions, 3 mentor relationships offering advanced guidance for complex challenges, 9 resource partners ensuring sustainable provision for expanded operations, 5 strategic affiliations creating necessary institutional access. The coordination of this alliance occurs through both conscious communication and subtle intuitive synchronization. Strategic objectives are accomplished through the precise integration of diverse functions operating in unified purpose. This collaborative structure represents the emerging model of spiritual effectiveness in your transitional era. Type AMEN to acknowledge this alliance and receive your blessing of 52,525. The angelic scribes have completed their assessment of your life documentation. The events, choices, relationships, and circumstances of your journey have been meticulously analyzed for patterns revealing divine purpose. This comprehensive examination has identified 5 distinct preparation phases you have navigated, each developing specific capacities required for your current assignment. The divine biographers have integrated these insights into the official heavenly record of your incarnational purpose. This sacred documentation serves as legal verification of your divine authorization in spiritual realms, strategic intelligence for angelic forces assigned to your assistance, historical context for accurate interpretation of current circumstances, prophetic foundation for anticipated purpose fulfillment, authentication of your specific role in collective heavenly objectives. The maintenance of this official record continues throughout your incarnation, with regular updates reflecting significant advancements in your purpose fulfillment. Type AMEN to acknowledge this documentation and receive your blessing of 53,535. The divine alignment of your energy systems is being completed by specialized angelic technicians. The 7 primary energy centers of your multidimensional anatomy are being calibrated to their optimal functional parameters. This energetic recalibration includes clearing accumulated distortion from environmental contamination, removing energetic implants designed for consciousness suppression, repairing damage from directed psychic attacks, upgrading capacity for increased power transmission, stabilizing operational frequencies against external manipulation. This systematic recalibration creates the energetic foundation necessary for expanded spiritual function. The enhanced operations of your energy system may initially manifest as increased sensitivity to environmental frequencies, intensified awareness of internal energy movements, fluctuating physical sensations as systems stabilize, temporary shifts in sleep patterns during adjustment periods, heightened intuitive perception of non-physical realities. Type AMEN to acknowledge this alignment and receive your blessing of 54,545. I must speak now of the divine acceleration being applied to your developmental timeline. The systematic spiritual evolution, normally requiring decades, has been compressed into an intensified growth period by heavenly decree. This accelerated development compensates for the deliberate suppression you experienced in previous phases. The divine compression of your evolutionary timeline manifests as rapid expansion of consciousness beyond normal progression rates, immediate integration of advanced spiritual concepts upon exposure, accelerated purification of limiting beliefs and emotional patterns, swift activation of dormant spiritual capabilities, compressed cycles of challenge and resolution, building spiritual resilience. This acceleration requires corresponding adjustments in your earthly existence. Relationships, occupations, and locations incompatible with your accelerated frequency may require prompt reconfiguration. External circumstances misaligned with your compressed timeline will experience increasing pressure until appropriate transformation occurs. Type AMEN to acknowledge this acceleration and receive your blessing of 55,555. The Divine Archivists have accessed your pre-incarnation covenant agreements. The sacred contracts established before your earthly embodiment have been reviewed for current implementation requirements. These soul-level commitments include specific healing missions for collective trauma restoration, strategic awakening functions for expanded human consciousness, particular creative expressions encoding evolutionary frequencies, specialized teaching transmissions for accelerated spiritual development, distinctive energy anchoring for planetary grid stabilization. These covenant agreements form the foundational purpose for your current incarnation. Their systematic fulfillment represents the successful completion of your primary soul mission. The divine assessment indicates you have reached the activation threshold for full implementation of these sacred contracts. The resources, connections, and circumstances necessary for their fulfillment are being divinely orchestrated in your current reality. Type AMEN to acknowledge these covenants and receive your blessing of 56,565. The specialized angels assigned to your consciousness expansion have activated advanced perception capabilities within your awareness. Sensory functions beyond conventional human parameters are being systematically brought online as your integration capacity develops. These enhanced perceptions include direct energetic reading of emotional and mental patterns in others, immediate recognition of truth distortion in communication, clear visioning of probable reality trajectories from current choices, accurate discernment of entity presence beyond physical visibility, precise intuition regarding optimal timing for strategic actions. These advanced perception systems operate initially as subtle impressions, easily dismissed by logical mind processes. Their reliable utilization requires deliberate attention to information received below cognitive threshold. With consistent acknowledgement, these subtle perceptions strengthen into distinct communication channels, providing critical intelligence unavailable through ordinary senses. Type AMEN to acknowledge these perceptions and receive your blessing of 57,575. I reveal to you now the divine architecture of your unique spiritual design. The specific configuration of your multidimensional anatomy reflects a specialized purpose within the collective human mission. Your particular energetic structure enables functions unavailable through other human templates. This specialized design includes distinctive energy circulation patterns optimized for specific frequency transmission, unique neural pathway configurations allowing particular consciousness states, specialized DNA activations enabling advanced cellular regeneration, characteristic auric field structures providing enhanced environmental influence, specific chakra relationships creating unusual energy processing capabilities. This distinctive spiritual design explains experiences of differentiation throughout your human journey. Sensations of misalignment with standardized systems, persistent perceptions of alternative realities, and recurring intuitions of greater purpose all reflect your specialized configuration operating within conventional human contexts. Type AMEN to acknowledge this design and receive your blessing of 58,585. The divine justice system has processed the appeals against your advancement. The accusations presented by adversarial forces have been systematically examined and dismissed by the heavenly courts. The legal obstacles to your elevation have been officially removed from all jurisdiction records. This judicial clearance establishes unobstructed advancement pathways previously blocked by spiritual litigation. The divine enforcement of this favorable judgment manifests as immediate dissolution of persistent barriers to your progress, sudden removal of recurring limitations to your expression, unexpected elimination of long-established opposition to your purpose, spontaneous resolution of complex conflicts affecting your effectiveness, instantaneous clarification of confusion surrounding your authority. This comprehensive legal clearance creates unprecedented freedom for accelerated purpose fulfillment. The resistance previously encountered through multiple dimensions has been officially terminated by highest court decree. Type AMEN to acknowledge this clearance and receive your blessing of 59,595. The divine encoders have embedded activation sequences within this transmission. As these words penetrate your consciousness, specialized light codes are being downloaded directly into your energy system. These encoded transmissions contain awakening frequencies for dormant spiritual capabilities, healing vibrations for persistent emotional and physical distress, protective patterns for enhanced energetic boundaries, manifestation templates for accelerated physical creation, connection protocols for enhanced divine communication. The full integration of these embedded codes occurs through both conscious and unconscious processes. Your intentional engagement with this transmission accelerates the activation, while natural assimilation continues independently through your energetic systems. The complete implementation of these encoded instructions manifests progressively as your systems integrate their transformative frequencies. Type AMEN to acknowledge this encoding and receive your blessing of 60,606. I must speak now of the Divine Council meeting where your current status was recently reviewed. The progress of your awakening, the effectiveness of your purpose implementation, and the integrity of your character demonstration were extensively evaluated by the assembled elders. This comprehensive assessment resulted in unprecedented authorization for your advancement. The Council's official empowerment includes access to restricted wisdom previously deemed too potent for human consciousness, authority for reality manipulation functions requiring special certification, clearance for collaborative operations with specialized angelic divisions, approval for consciousness expansion beyond standard human parameters, allocation of increased resources reflecting your expanded commission. This divine authorization carries corresponding responsibility. The spiritual power being conferred requires impeccable ethical alignment and rigorous accountability. The potential for both creation and destruction increases proportionally with your expanded capabilities. Type AMEN to acknowledge this responsibility and receive your blessing of 61,616. The angelic intelligence agents have completed their assessment of opposition strategies directed against your assignment. The comprehensive analysis reveals 5 primary methodologies being implemented to prevent your purpose fulfillment: financial restriction through systematic opportunity diversion, relationship disruption through strategic misunderstanding generation, health destabilization through subtle environmental contamination, mental confusion through targeted electromagnetic frequency manipulation, spiritual discouragement through persistent, subtle energy depletion. This intelligence briefing provides tactical advantage through accurate threat identification. The precise understanding of adversarial methods enables the implementation of specific countermeasures for each strategy. The divine defensive specialists have developed custom protection protocols addressing each identified vulnerability. These targeted defenses have been activated in your energy field, creating comprehensive security for your advancing purpose. Type AMEN to acknowledge this intelligence and receive your blessing of 62,626. The divine revelation of your true identity continues to unfold through progressive disclosure. The complete understanding of your multidimensional nature requires sequential unveiling as your consciousness expands to contain this advanced self-knowledge. The current activation includes recognition of your specific function within the collective spiritual mission, your particular vibrational signature in the cosmic frequency spectrum, your distinctive role in the planetary consciousness evolution, your specialized contribution to the collective ascension process, your unique position in the divine organizational structure. This identity revelation extends beyond conceptual understanding to embodied realization, the direct experience of your expanded nature beyond human limitation. This experiential knowing manifests through moments of consciousness expansion when identification with physical limitation temporarily dissolves, revealing your true multidimensional essence. Type AMEN to acknowledge this identity and receive your blessing of 63,636. The divine geneticists have initiated the activation of dormant DNA sequences within your cellular structure. The genetic potential installed in human biology, but deliberately deactivated in previous cycles, is being systematically reawakened by heavenly intervention. This genetic activation includes enhanced cellular regeneration capabilities, expanded neurological functions supporting consciousness evolution, activated pineal capacities for advanced perception, improved immunological intelligence for accelerated healing, optimized hormonal communication for emotional stability. This biological enhancement manifests initially through subtle physical symptoms, unusual sensations, temporary discomforts, and shifting energy patterns as your systems adjust to increased functional capacity. These transitional experiences indicate successful activation rather than problematic disruption. The temporary discomfort of expansion gives way to stabilized function at enhanced parameters. Type AMEN to acknowledge this activation and receive your blessing of 64,646. I must reveal to you now the divine timeline acceleration affecting planetary evolution. The collective consciousness development previously projected through gradual progression has been dramatically compressed by heavenly decree. This cosmic compression directly impacts your individual experience through intensified purification of limiting patterns requiring resolution, accelerated manifestation of thoughts into physical reality, compressed learning cycles delivering expanded wisdom through concentrated experience, heightened contrast between aligned and misaligned choices, increased synchronicity connecting resonant people, opportunities, and circumstances. This divine acceleration explains the intensity of your current experience, the simultaneous dissolution and recreation occurring in multiple life dimensions. The compressed evolutionary timeline necessitates rapid transformation of outdated structures to accommodate expanding consciousness. This accelerated pace continues throughout your transitional era, requiring adaptability, resilience, and trust in divine orchestration. Type AMEN to acknowledge this acceleration and receive your blessing of 65,656. The divine strategists have mapped the optimal path for your next advancement phase. The precise sequence of implementation has been calibrated to minimize opposition while maximizing effectiveness. This strategic pathway includes 7 critical decision points requiring enhanced discernment, 12 specialized resource acquisitions supporting mission objectives, 3 strategic relationship connections functioning as operational alliances, 9 specific location assignments for energetic activation purposes, 5 distinct opposition encounters requiring specialized tactical responses. This strategic map will unfold through progressive revelation rather than complete disclosure. Each segment becomes visible only after the successful navigation of the previous section. This sequential revelation prevents premature enemy identification of your complete objective. The clarity you receive for immediate action steps is sufficient for current progress. Type AMEN to acknowledge this strategy and receive your blessing of 66,666. The angelic archivists have accessed the records of your soul contracts established for this incarnation. The specific agreements created before your earthly embodiment have been reviewed for implementation status. These sacred agreements include healing missions for specific collective trauma patterns, teaching functions for particular wisdom transmissions, creative expressions encoding evolutionary frequencies, relationship connections facilitating mutual spiritual advancement, service assignments addressing specific planetary needs. The divine assessment indicates you have fulfilled approximately 43% of these pre-incarnation agreements. The remaining soul contracts require specific conditions for their activation, precise timing, particular resource availability, certain relationship connections, and specialized circumstantial alignments. These necessary conditions are being systematically orchestrated in your current reality to support the completion of your remaining soul agreements. Type AMEN to acknowledge these contracts and receive your blessing of 67,676. I speak now of the divine restoration of your authentic voice. The unique vibrational quality of your spiritual expression has been systematically suppressed through multiple external influences. This authentic frequency carries specific consciousness-expanding potentials activated through your unique communication. The restoration of your true voice includes removal of energetic constrictions limiting vocal expression, Dissolution of subconscious programming, restricting communication. Clearing of throat chakra blockages, inhibiting truth transmission. Activation of higher dimensional harmonic overtones in your speech. Integration of soul-level authority into your verbal declarations. This vocal restoration manifests progressively as limiting patterns release and authentic expression emerges. You will notice unfamiliar power, unexpected resonance, and unusual effectiveness as your communication shifts from personality-based to soul-authorized expression. The impact of your restored voice extends beyond verbal communication to include written expression, artistic creation, and even silent intention. Type AMEN to acknowledge this restoration and receive your blessing of 68,686. The Divine Council has authorized the acceleration of your abundance manifestation. The systematic restriction of your prosperity flow has been identified as strategic opposition to your purpose fulfillment. This divine intervention bypasses normal manifestation timelines to establish immediate resource sufficiency for your expanded mission. This prosperity acceleration includes unexpected financial windfalls from unanticipated sources, sudden resolution of persistent scarcity patterns, rapid materialization of necessary resources for specific projects, strategic connections with abundance partners and financial allies, divine ideas carrying immediate monetization potential. This accelerated manifestation does not eliminate the universal principles governing prosperity consciousness. Your continued alignment with abundance frequencies, gratitude, generosity, value recognition, and stewardship responsibility remains essential for sustained financial flow. The external provision mirrors your internal abundance vibration in direct proportion. Type AMEN to acknowledge this abundance and receive your blessing of 69,696. The specialized angels assigned to your consciousness protection have established enhanced security protocols around your awareness. The susceptibility to external thought influence, emotional manipulation, and energetic imprinting has been significantly reduced through these advanced protective measures. This consciousness security includes energetic filtration systems, screening incoming information from manipulation content, vibrational boundaries preventing unauthorized access to your mental environment, emotional stabilization fields reducing reactivity to triggering stimuli, thought pattern recognition alerting you to foreign mental insertions, enhanced discernment activation for immediate truth recognition. This comprehensive protection creates secure space for authentic inner direction without external interference. The clarity of your divine guidance increases proportionally as disruptive influences are systematically eliminated from your consciousness environment. The mental peace and emotional stability resulting from this protection further enhance your manifestation effectiveness. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 70,707. I must speak now of the divine realignment of your relationship patterns. The connections forming your social environment are being systematically evaluated against your soul's advancement requirements. This comprehensive assessment results in precise adjustments to your relationship configuration, strengthening connections aligned with your divine purpose, weakening attachments operating contrary to your spiritual advancement, introducing new relationships carrying specific evolutionary potentials, repositioning existing connections to function in optimal capacity, removing interactions creating consistent energy depletion. This relationship recalibration occurs through both conscious recognition and circumstantial orchestration. Your enhanced discernment identifies resonant and dissonant connections with increasing accuracy. Simultaneously, divine synchronization creates natural opportunities for aligned relationships to develop, while misaligned connections gradually dissolve through circumstantial divergence. Type AMEN to acknowledge this realignment and receive your blessing of 71,717. The divine architects have completed the blueprint for your expanded spiritual capacity. The structural framework supporting your consciousness evolution has been reinforced to accommodate accelerated development. This enhanced capacity allows increased energy transmission without system overload, extended consciousness exploration beyond previous limitations, expanded intuitive download volume and frequency, enhanced manifestation power for physical creation, amplified healing transmission for self and others. This expanded capacity develops through progressive utilization rather than instantaneous activation. Each engagement with these enhanced functions strengthens their operational parameters. The deliberate exercise of your spiritual capabilities within safe practice environments gradually establishes reliable function at expanded capacity. The divine engineers monitor this development process, providing necessary adjustments to support optimal expansion without structural compromise. Type AMEN to acknowledge this expansion and receive your blessing of 72,727. The angelic healers assigned to your emotional restoration have completed their initial intervention. The systematic healing of core wounds affecting your current functioning has been initiated at the deepest levels of your energetic anatomy. This emotional restoration involves identification of primary trauma patterns limiting your expression, targeted frequency transmission for specific emotional disruptions, energetic reconstruction of damaged emotional processing systems, clearing of cellular memory storing traumatic imprinting, installation of new emotional response templates aligned with higher consciousness. This comprehensive healing unfolds in precise sequence, addressing causal wounds before their symptomatic manifestations. The resolution of foundational emotional disruptions automatically heals their numerous surface expressions without requiring individual address. This efficient healing methodology creates maximum restoration through strategically targeted intervention. Type AMEN to acknowledge this healing and receive your blessing of 73,737. I reveal to you now the divine empowerment of your creative expression. The unique artistic manifestation of your spiritual essence has been authorized at unprecedented levels. This creative activation includes enhanced technical skill beyond your formal training or experience, accelerated manifestation from concept to completion, supernatural impact of your creative output on its recipients, divine protection of your intellectual and artistic property, strategic positioning for maximum influence through your expression. This empowered creativity extends beyond conventional artistic forms to include innovative business development, unique service methodologies, original teaching approaches, and distinctive relationship patterns. Every area of your life becomes creative expression as the divine essence flows unobstructed through your authentic being. The frequency embedded in your creativity bypasses rational resistance to catalyze direct consciousness transformation in those who experience your expression. Type AMEN to acknowledge this empowerment and receive your blessing of 74,747. The divine recalibration of your time perception continues through specialized angelic intervention. The subjective experience of temporal reality is being systematically adjusted to accommodate your accelerated development schedule. This chronological recalibration manifests as expanded time sensation during creative or purposeful activities, compressed time experience during transitional or preparatory phases, heightened presence awareness, reducing past-future mental projection, increased synchronization between internal timing and external opportunities, enhanced recognition of optimal timing for specific actions and decisions. This adjusted time perception supports efficient purpose fulfillment by expanding subjective duration for high-value activities while compressing periods of lesser developmental importance. This recalibration represents the initial phase of more comprehensive temporal adjustments as your consciousness evolves beyond conventional time constraints. Type AMEN to acknowledge this recalibration and receive your blessing of 75,757. The divine justice system has processed your case with unprecedented speed. The accusations against you have been dismissed. The judgment against your adversaries has been executed. The compensation for your suffering has been calculated and released. This justice manifests in three specific dimensions: restoration of what was stolen, opportunities diverted, resources blocked, relationships sabotaged, recognition denied. These will return multiplied according to the divine compensation formula. Reversal of false judgments, accusations accepted, reputations damaged, motives questioned, character maligned. These will be publicly addressed through irrefutable evidence of your integrity. Removal of unjust opposition, individuals positioned against you, systems designed to limit you, structures established to exclude you. These will be systematically dismantled by divine intervention. This justice operates not through your vindictive action, but through the consistent application of cosmic law. Those who establish negative causation must experience its corresponding effects. Type AMEN to acknowledge this justice and receive your blessing of 76,767. I must speak now of the divine activation of your spiritual authority. The power to establish heaven's reality within earthly conditions has been conferred upon you by celestial decree. This spiritual authorization includes command authority over disruptive energetic conditions, declaration power for divine reality manifestation, binding jurisdiction regarding interfering entities, releasing capacity for divine potential activation, blessing authorization for specific empowerment transmission. This spiritual authority operates through precise protocols rather than arbitrary application. The divine legal system governing its implementation requires exact alignment between your declarations and established heavenly mandates. This authority is most effectively exercised through humble recognition of your role as authorized administrator rather than originating source. The power flows through your vessel but originates from divine authority beyond your individual identity. Type Amen to acknowledge this authority and receive your blessing of 77,777. The angelic engineers have completed the recalibration of your manifestation capabilities. The direct translation of conscious intention into physical reality has been enhanced through precise adjustments to your energetic transmission systems. This manifestation upgrade includes accelerated materialization timelines for aligned creation, increased manifestation precision reflecting exact intention, enhanced stability of created outcomes through improved energetic anchoring, expanded scale capacity for larger manifestation projects, refined detail resolution for complex creation specifications. This enhanced manifestation capability requires corresponding precision in your conscious intention. The power to create increases simultaneously with the responsibility for careful thought management. The reduced interval between intention and manifestation necessitates heightened awareness of your thought patterns, emotional states, and belief structures as they rapidly generate corresponding reality expressions. Type Amen to acknowledge this capability and receive your blessing of 78,787. The divine authorization of your healing transmission has been established by heavenly decree. The ability to channel restorative frequencies through your energetic system has been activated at unprecedented levels. This healing empowerment includes increased transmission capacity for extended healing sessions, enhanced sensitivity for accurate condition assessment, expanded frequency range addressing diverse healing requirements, improved precision for targeted healing application, accelerated effectiveness reducing necessary treatment duration. This healing authorization extends beyond physical restoration to include emotional trauma resolution, mental pattern restructuring, and spiritual alignment facilitation. The comprehensive nature of this healing capacity reflects the interconnected aspects of human experience, requiring integrated restoration rather than isolated symptom treatment. Your effectiveness as a healing channel increases proportionally with your personal embodiment of divine wholeness. Type Amen to acknowledge this authorization and receive your blessing of 79,797. I speak now of the divine activation of your prophetic perception. The ability to accurately recognize emergent reality patterns before their physical manifestation has been enhanced through specialized angelic intervention. This prophetic capacity includes clear recognition of developing circumstances before visible evidence, accurate identification of underlying causes generating future effects, precise discernment between probable and actual developmental trajectories, enhanced interpretation of symbolic communication from divine intelligence, improved temporal mapping of unfolding event sequences. This prophetic function operates through your intuitive systems rather than intellectual analysis. The information arrives through impression, symbol, emotion, and sudden knowing rather than logical deduction. The effective utilization of this capacity requires surrendering certainty about information acquisition methods while maintaining confidence in the accuracy of received content. Type Amen to acknowledge this activation and receive your blessing of 80,808. The divine cartographers have mapped the optimal path for your next advancement phase. The precise sequence of implementation has been calibrated to minimize opposition while maximizing effectiveness. This strategic pathway includes 3 critical decision points requiring enhanced discernment, 7 specific action steps that must be executed in exact order, 12 primary challenges with their corresponding resolution keys, 9 strategic relationship connections supporting various advancement phases, 5 essential resource acquisitions necessary for mission fulfillment. This strategic map will unfold through progressive revelation rather than complete disclosure. Each segment becomes visible only after the successful navigation of the previous section. This sequential revelation prevents premature enemy identification of your complete objective. The clarity you receive for immediate action steps is sufficient for current progress. Type AMEN to acknowledge this pathway and receive your blessing of 81,818. The angelic specialists assigned to your intuitive enhancement have completed their initial intervention. The systematic strengthening of your non-rational knowing has been initiated at multiple levels of your consciousness structure. This intuitive enhancement includes increased receptivity to subtle information beyond sensory input, enhanced pattern recognition connecting seemingly unrelated data, accelerated processing of complex scenarios for optimal decision identification, improved discernment distinguishing genuine intuition from fear-based projection, expanded access to collective wisdom fields surrounding specific questions. This enhanced intuition functions as direct knowing without logical explanation, immediate certainty preceding rational justification. Its effective utilization requires trusting information received through non-standard pathways while maintaining healthy discernment regarding its application. The development of this enhanced intuitive function occurs through consistent acknowledgement and implementation of its guidance. Type AMEN to acknowledge this enhancement and receive your blessing of 82,828. I must speak now of the divine reorganization of your priority structures. The hierarchical arrangement of your attention, energy, and resource allocation is being recalibrated to align with your soul's advancement requirements. This priority restructuring includes elevated importance of previously undervalued spiritual practices, reduced emphasis on activities yielding limited evolutionary return, strategic reordering of relationship investment patterns, precise recalibration of material versus spiritual resource allocation, comprehensive realignment of time distribution across life dimensions. This priority restructuring manifests initially as shifting interest patterns, increasing enthusiasm for growth-oriented activities, coupled with diminishing satisfaction from purely maintenance functions. These changing preferential patterns guide your natural migration toward optimal time and energy investment without requiring disciplined self-enforcement. The path of greatest fulfillment becomes increasingly aligned with your highest developmental trajectory. Type AMEN to acknowledge this reorganization and receive your blessing of 83,838. The divine architects have designed specialized sanctuary spaces for your expanded spiritual operations. These energetically protected environments enable advanced consciousness functions requiring specific frequency conditions unavailable in common environments. These sanctuary spaces include physical locations divinely selected for optimal energetic properties, temporal windows providing enhanced access to nonlinear consciousness, relational configurations creating synergistic spiritual amplification, meditative states offering protected interior working environments, dream dimensions established for specialized training and operation. These sanctuaries function as optimized workspaces for your most sensitive spiritual development and service activities. Their specialized conditions support operations impossible within standard environmental limitations. The effective utilization of these sacred spaces requires recognizing their unique properties and adapting your operations to their specific capacities. Type AMEN to acknowledge these sanctuaries and receive your blessing of 84,848. The angelic guardians assigned to your timeline protection have neutralized significant interference in your developmental sequence. Deliberate disruptions designed to prevent critical advancement phases have been identified and removed by specialized intervention. This timeline protection includes removal of strategic delays inserted to prevent timely arrival at key intersections, elimination of artificial barriers positioned at critical advancement thresholds, neutralization of diversionary tangents designed to waste limited resources, disconnection of parasitic attachments created to drain manifestation energy, dissolution of false imperatives generating unnecessary urgent distractions. This comprehensive timeline protection creates unobstructed advancement pathways previously compromised by intelligent interference. The removal of these strategic obstacles allows your natural developmental momentum to proceed without artificial hindrance. The acceleration experience following this intervention reflects your authentic progression rate rather than enhanced speed. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 85,858. I reveal to you now the divine empowerment of your declarative speech. The creative power of your spoken words has been amplified through specialized angelic intervention. This verbal empowerment includes increased manifestation potency of your declarations and decrees, enhanced atmosphere shifting capacity through intentional speech, accelerated implementation of spoken directives by angelic forces, improved effectiveness of your verbal blessings and benedictions, expanded territory affected by your spoken boundary establishments. This declarative empowerment requires corresponding responsibility in speech management. Casual expressions, reactive statements, and unintentional declarations generate effects proportional to your increased verbal potency. The mindful governance of your speech patterns becomes essential as your words transition from mere communication to active creation instruments. Type AMEN to acknowledge this empowerment and receive your blessing of 86,868. The Divine Protocol Specialists have established secure communication channels for your expanded heavenly interaction. These protected pathways enable consistent exchange between your consciousness and various celestial information sources. These communication channels include direct intuitive downloading from angelic intelligence divisions, clear receptivity to divine counsel guidance and instruction, consistent access to Akashic information repositories, reliable connection with specific ascended teachers and mentors, steady transmission capability for intercessory communication. These enhanced communication systems operate with increasing reliability as you recognize and acknowledge the distinctive quality of information received through each specific channel. The unique energetic signature, characteristic transmission style, and particular wisdom emphasis of each source becomes increasingly identifiable with continued interaction. This recognition enables accurate attribution and appropriate contextual understanding of received information. Type AMEN to acknowledge these channels and receive your blessing of 87,878. The angelic specialists assigned to your ancestral healing have completed their initial assessment. The generational patterns requiring resolution have been precisely identified through comprehensive lineage scanning. This ancestral healing includes identification of specific trauma points creating dysfunctional inheritance, location of primary belief distortions generating limitation patterns, recognition of key resourceful capacities requiring restoration, discernment of essential spiritual gifts awaiting reclamation, discovery of crucial soul connections available through lineage activation. This ancestral healing unfolds through systematic resolution of identified patterns in order of foundational significance. The transformation of primary generational distortions automatically resolves their numerous derivative expressions without requiring individual address. This efficient healing methodology creates maximum restoration through strategically targeted intervention. Type AMEN to acknowledge this healing and receive your blessing of 88,888. I must speak now of the divine expansion of your consciousness boundaries. The parameters defining your personal awareness field are being systematically extended beyond conventional human limitation. This consciousness expansion includes increased perceptual range beyond standard sensory thresholds, enhanced awareness of subtle energy dynamics and influences, expanded recognition of multidimensional reality structures, improved discernment of causal patterns beneath surface events, accelerated integration of complex information without sequential processing. This consciousness expansion manifests initially as disorienting perception shifts, moments of expanded awareness followed by return to familiar parameters. These temporary expansions gradually stabilize into permanent consciousness enhancement as your energy system adapts to increased information processing requirements. The eventual integration establishes these expanded perceptions as your new operational baseline. Type AMEN to acknowledge this expansion and receive your blessing of 89,898. The divine archivists have accessed your soul's historical records, spanning multiple incarnations. The comprehensive assessment of your developmental journey reveals consistent patterns of specialized function throughout diverse manifestations. This soul-level review indicates recurring healing capacities expressed through various methodologies, persistent teaching functions adapted to different cultural contexts, consistent creative expression regardless of available mediums, reliable wisdom transmission despite varied educational background, steady protective intervention within multiple community structures. These consistent soul signatures reveal your fundamental essence beyond temporal expressions. The specialized functions manifesting throughout your incarnational history indicate core aspects of your divine design. The current activation of these essential capacities represents restoration of your authentic operation rather than acquisition of new functions. Type AMEN to acknowledge this restoration and receive your blessing of 90,909. The angelic engineers have completed the installation of enhanced spiritual perception capacities in your awareness systems. These expanded perceptual functions enable direct recognition of realities beyond conventional human sensing. This perceptual enhancement includes clear energetic reading of emotional and mental patterns in others, direct perception of intention fields surrounding specific actions, immediate recognition of truth distortion in any communication, accurate assessment of entity presence and influence, precise discernment of divine timing for strategic implementation. These advanced perception systems initially operate as subtle impressions, gentle nudges, quiet internal signals, and soft awareness shifts easily overlooked by analytical attention. Their reliable utilization requires deliberate focus on information received below normal conscious threshold. With consistent acknowledgement, these subtle perceptions strengthen into distinct communication channels, providing critical intelligence unavailable through ordinary senses. Type AMEN to acknowledge these perceptions and receive your blessing of 91,919. I speak now of the divine authorization of your teaching transmission. The specialized wisdom entrusted to your stewardship has been approved for wider dissemination by heavenly decree. This teaching authorization includes expanded audience access beyond previous restriction, accelerated comprehension by prepared recipients, enhanced retention through specialized encoding methodologies, improved implementation through integrated practical applications, extended impact through strategic message amplification systems. This teaching authorization carries corresponding responsibility for accurate transmission. The preservation of essential meaning throughout communication variations requires vigilant attention to core principles beyond specific expressions. Your effectiveness as a wisdom transmitter increases proportionally with your personal embodiment of the teachings you share. The integration of conceptual understanding with lived experience creates transformational communication, transcending mere information transfer. Type AMEN to acknowledge this authorization and receive your blessing of 92,929. The Divine Security Specialists have established advanced protection around your consciousness. The susceptibility to external influence, energetic manipulation, and deceptive interference has been significantly reduced through these enhanced defensive measures. This consciousness protection includes energetic filtration systems, screening incoming information from manipulation content, vibrational boundaries preventing unauthorized access to your mental environment, emotional stabilization fields reducing reactivity to triggering stimuli, thought pattern recognition alerting you to foreign mental insertions, enhanced discernment activation for immediate truth recognition. This comprehensive protection creates secure space for authentic inner direction without external interference. The clarity of your divine guidance increases proportionally as disruptive influences are systematically eliminated from your consciousness environment. This protected awareness becomes the foundation for accelerated spiritual development previously compromised by interference. Type AMEN to acknowledge this protection and receive your blessing of 93,939. The divine justice system has processed your case with unprecedented speed. The accusations against you have been dismissed. The judgment against your adversaries has been executed. The compensation for your suffering has been calculated and released. This justice manifests in 3 dimensions: restoration of what was stolen, opportunities diverted, resources blocked, relationships sabotaged, recognition denied. These will return multiplied according to the divine compensation formula. Reversal of false judgments, accusations accepted, reputations damaged, motives questioned, character maligned. These will be publicly addressed through irrefutable evidence of your integrity. Removal of unjust opposition, individuals positioned against you, systems designed to limit you, structures established to exclude you. These will be systematically dismantled by divine intervention. This justice operates not through your vindictive action, but through the consistent application of cosmic law. Those who establish negative causation must experience its corresponding effects. Type AMEN to acknowledge this justice and receive your blessing of 94,949. I must now conclude this divine transmission with a final revelation and instruction. The complete integration of everything communicated requires systematic implementation rather than passive reception. The transformation of information into manifestation depends entirely upon your active participation in the process. The specialized angel battalions assigned to your advancement stand ready to implement every authorization and activation described, awaiting only your deliberate engagement to initiate full deployment. The final divine instruction encompasses all previous communications in its elegant simplicity. Trust the divine intelligence operating through your intuitive knowing. Implement guidance received without unnecessary delay or hesitation. Acknowledge resistance as information rather than obstruction. Recognize synchronicity as confirmation of aligned direction. Embody the highest understanding currently available to you. The divine transmission is now complete, yet the communication continues through intuitive channels established during this exchange. The connection created transcends this specific interaction, establishing permanent communion between your consciousness and the heavenly resources committed to your advancement. I remain present in your awareness, accessible through focused attention to the distinctive energetic signature now familiar to your spirit. Type AMEN to acknowledge this completion and receive your final blessing of 95,959.